Unable to set her when it was large. Now I have
I went up the levee.
I don't know.
Art and Nancy, what a surprise!
I keep seeing your Facebook posts all the time with you and your son and the baseball games. I keep seeing you all the time.
Oh, this is wonderful. I'm so happy to see you.
We're happy to see you.
How are things in the Bay?
Good.
Like
Yeah.
everybody else, we're locked down.
Yeah, it's
Let me get some more light on this. Yeah.
it's time. Hey Jill, how are you? Joseph, do you hear me?
Let me get you in the picture.
No,
Yeah, it's okay. I just have a thing at the temple now from 6:30 to 7:30, so I'll talk to her after.
not too much.
Hi,
All right,
Sherry.
nice meeting.
How are you?
Hi. I'm good. How are you? Sorry. I was on the phone with my family. I'm good. How are you?
You know, I am great.
Good. I wasn't sure if this was a Zoom or the other thing. So, you know, it's different.
Yeah, it's Zoom. I think we're gonna keep adult music experience on Zoom just so we can get some interactive.
That's good. I have to tell you that Sunday song session was fabulous. You do his
Oh,
music very well.
You know, somebody told me, they said, you know, they love when we do the secular music, but when I sing the Jewish music, there's a passion to it.
Ah.
And there's just, and you're right. I mean, Craig is my musical Jewish music idol. So I mean,
Well, it's great. It was great.
thank you. It was really fun. Hi, Martine. How are you?
Hi.
Oh, well, look at this.
Yeah, we got two.
Hello.
All right. How you doing?
Okay, pretty good.
Long time no see.
Yeah.
Nice to see you. Hello, Mother.
Hello, son. How are you?
I'm great. Ready to Peter, Paul, and Mary this evening up.
Peter Pan music.
Okay.
And I know Wendy is here baking away. Hi, Wendy. Looks like Abby and
Thank you,
Rabbi
Sherry.
are here. Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you, Sherry.
Hildy is here. Hi, Hildy.
I'm making dinner.
You're making dinner?
I'm making dinner.
What's for dinner?
Tacos.
Oh, I'm coming over.
It's taco. It's not Taco Tuesday.
It's Taco Wednesday.
It's Taco Wednesday. That's okay. We had tacos the other night.
whipped
Abby,
cream
I'm
Wednesday.
telling you, Hayden ate tacos. It was very exciting.
Miracle.
I know. It was great. Hi, Deborah. Is Stan joining us today? Maybe. Maybe not. Robbie, hello. Back in your spot.
I am.
Am I on mute?
I love it.
From the other room.
Am I on mute?
I love it. That's great. So everybody who's here right now, we're expecting a really nice crowd tonight, at least those who RSVP'd. Whether they show, I'm not sure. But I want to introduce you to some very special people. At least they're in the upper part of my my screen here. Art and Nancy Liskowitz. They are members of Congregation Shireinu in Castro Valley, California, which was my student pulpit, my second and third years of rabbinical school. And these are just wonderful, wonderful people who knew me when.
Yes.
And I mean, these just delightful people, and I'm so thrilled that they're here to join us tonight. So welcome to Congregation Shir Hama'alot.
Thank you.
You Shir Ami, Shir Hama'alot. A lot of shears.
Sons.
Mom, the lighting is nice in the kitchen there. I don't know why, but it's good.
I just turned off the light over there.
It's good lighting.
Yeah.
Hello, Mark.
Hello.
Is Barbara with us tonight?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Barbara.
Hi there. We're just waiting for somebody from Jewish Family Service to come over because we're giving gift cards for Holocaust survivors.
Oh, yes, yes.
for
Very
Hanukkah.
nice.
So she's on her way over.
Yeah. All right, we're going to give it a couple minutes. You know how our congregation works. We're good 5 minutes late always. Except when Rabbi Steinberg does things, because Rabbi Steinberg's on time. It's a good thing. Jewish Standard Time. That's exactly right, Deborah. That's exactly right. We need Stan to be there with his shofar to get everybody moving. You don't have to respond to me. I'm just being goofy.
I fear that Stan may be responding.
Oh no.
Right.
I don't know. There's no better.
But I don't think he knows any Hanukkah tunes.
Oh, Stan knows everything. He can play anything.
If he can pull off a Hanukkah song on a shofar, I would be mind blown.
He can do it.
I bet he can.
I'm starting to pray.
The man can do anything with a ram's horn.
Okay, is there a program tonight, Rabbi?
There is. Hi, Barbara. Thanks for the mug.
Tilta.
You're welcome. I hope
Watch
you enjoy
out.
it.
You know what? I'm serious. And you caused the dog to go crazy, but I love it.
Dogs are crazy. I'm crazy.
But of course, the blame is yours.
Yes, I'll take it. I accept.
Thank you.
I accept. Yes, Barbara, Melissa had a great time on Sunday, and I even sat in on the stairs and listened to a little bit of it. It was really fun, but I looked at that mug and I said, I need to get me one of those, and I'm sure I can make it happen. I just gotta sweet talk Barbara Bornett a little bit.
Yep, you made it happen. And I'm glad that she enjoyed the event. And I'm glad you were there for part of it. And we even had Hayden for part of it. So.
All right, great crowd. We'll probably get Hayden for this one too. All right, one more minute and then we are going to get going. And those who are here will be here. If you are able, I'd love to see your faces. If you're not, that's okay. And you can stay off camera. That's cool. And you can listen, but I'd love to see you. If you're able. Well, hello, Fleeglers.
Hello there, Rabbi.
How are you?
Good.
You know the best part of this whole thing now, I've been a part of this congregation long enough to be able to look at everybody and know exactly who you are. That is really, really great. And I feel good about myself, and I'm going to pat myself on the back.
You deserve it.
You deserve that.
Oh,
Yes.
it's great. It's great. All right. Welcome, everybody, to the Adult Music Experience. I'm sure there's going to be people coming in a little bit late. I am going to get rid of that little chime so it's not too distracting, but I will still be able to let them in. And this is our second adult. Hey, Todd, how are you? He's not. Okay. This is our second Adult Music Experience.
Hi.
There he is. Adult Music Experience experience of the year. Last year, we were very grateful to learn about some wonderful musicians who are Jewish and really talk about their Jewish identity. We looked and studied Carole King, and we studied Bob Dylan, and we studied, who was the other one? I feel like there was 3. Paul Simon? No. Was it Simon and Garfunkel? Yeah, it was Simon and Garfunkel. It was Simon and Garfunkel. You know, that just honestly seems like decades ago already that we did that. And so this is the first in our, Who is Jewish series. We're going to look at Peter Yarrow, but in a grand... under the umbrella of Peter, Paul, and Mary, their group. There's a lot to Peter Yarrow, and he, unlike some of the other musicians who I would say were musicians that were Jewish, Peter Yarrow is a musician that is Jewish and really infuses his Judaism into his music and his actions. And so the way I'm going to split this up tonight is we are going to look at some of his career with Peter, Paul, and Mary, and then we're going to look at his Jewish aspect, and we're going to listen to some music, we're going to sing, we're going to have a really great time. If you are don't have a grasp of our program yet, even though it's self-explanatory, I will repeat it again as we have. Peter Yarrow will not actually be attending our session tonight. I mean, literally, for those of you who don't know, back when we did the Bob Dylan event, there were people who were very upset that Bob Dylan was not going to be able to join us. But, you know, to each their own. Hello, Ellen. Nice to see you. And Laura Lee. Hello, Laura Lee. Hi. Okay. All right, so Peter Yarrow, one of the most beloved Jewish folk singers, songwriters, activists, and teachers in not just America, but internationally as well. And we know a lot of his music. Puff the Magic Dragon, Light One Candle, Weave Me the Sunshine, countless covers. And might I add, feel free to raise your hand and say whatever it is you'd like to say, wherever Mark is. He's somewhere on my screen. There he is. Mark sent me this really beautiful email telling me about an experience with Peter Yarrow. Mark, that you're here, I can either share it or I'd love for you to share it later on. So whatever we do, because it was very meaningful. Made popular through his group, Peter, Paul, and Mary, much of their music really centered around the social issues and the concerns of the times. And many of this in the 1960s really included war, homelessness, the environment, world hunger, apartheid, and the sanctuary movement. Peter Yarrow was born in New York City in 1938. And his singing career began after receiving his psychology degree from Cornell University. But he always sat in his dorm room and he always played around and doodling around and covering various songs, and always had a beautiful voice and soul to him. Upon graduating, he went down to Greenwich Village in the lower part of Manhattan, and he met up with somebody who was the folk music manager of the time, a man by the name of Albert Grossman. Has anybody heard of Albert Grossman? Okay, so Albert Grossman, not really well known, but he was really big in managing many of the artists of the folk movement, especially down in Greenwich Village. And so he says to Peter Yarrow down in the village, right now this country needs a combination of a comedian that can sing, a strong female vocal, and you. And I thought that was really powerful because he had in mind immediately their success. And Albert Grossman was truly essential in bringing together this group. And he met up with introduced two other people, Noel Stuckey and Mary Travers. And they, together, made up the group of Peter, Paul, and Mary. They assembled, encouraged this group, and after rehearsing for 7 months, the trio was ready to finally make their public debut. And in 1961, they performed in one of the more popular coffee houses in Greenwich Village called The Bitter End. And this then led to other dates in Greenwich Village, and then soon to be Chicago, and then San Francisco. And after incredible success in all of these venues, the group then began a national tour that lasted about 10 years. And to be touring for 10 straight years without a break is really something to be said. Very, very special. The thing that's incredibly unique about them was that three voices in constant harmony was unique. It was a different sound that folk singers would sing, but Pete Seeger, keep in mind, sang alone. Bob Dylan, if you say he sang, but spoke in song alone. Simon and Garfunkel's 60s, early 70s came on, sang as a duet. Peter, Paul, and Mary sang as this trio. And the really interesting part is that, well, let me ask you, what was interesting and unique about their harmonies, about them singing together? Just say it out. I'm not hearing anybody. Am I supposed to?
You're all on mute, that's all.
Oh, feel free to unmute yourselves. Anybody?
What's different about?
Take turn on lead.
You gotta go to.
Yeah, that's right, Ellen. That's exactly right. They all took turns on lead. So how did they do this? They sang for weeks at a time the incredibly complex song of Mary Had a Little Lamb. Mary had a little lamb, little lamb, little lamb, right? So they created harmonies to that. And one time Peter would take the lead, then another time Mary would take the lead, another time, well, Noel, but Paul would take the lead, right? And it didn't matter in their songs who actually sang the lead. The same sound came out, and that was incredibly, incredibly unique. And so Albert hears all of them singing and said, well, we can't create a group that is someone and the so-and-sos because they all sing lead. So what are we going to do? We need to create a group name that reflected the original authentic self. So what more than Peter, Paul, and Mary? So they began not only to write their own music, but to sing songs that were iconic to the time. In 1962, Warner Brothers Records released their first album, which was called, again, uniquely and originally, Peter, Paul, and Mary. And the album remained in the top 10 for 10 months and in the top 20 for over 2 years, sold more than 2 million copies at the time. And the trio had 3 different albums on the chart, written by Peter Yarrow and Leonard Lipton. This here was their first really big hit written by Peter Yarrow. Uh-oh. One second. Share my screen.
Yeah.
In a land called Honolulu, little Jackie Paper.
What year did you go to Central Park?
I don't know, it was after high school.
Right, you were in college.
And other fancy stuff. Oh, Puff the Magic Dragon lived sing it with us, and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. A little louder, Puff, the magic dragon, lived by the sea, and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Yeah, together they would travel on a boat with billowed sail, and Jackie kept a lookout, perched on Puff's gigantic tail. Noble kings and princes would bow whene'er they came. Pirate ships would lower their flags when Puff roared out his name. Sing it now. Puff, the magic dragon, lived by the sea, and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Good ball. Puff, the magic dragon, lived by the sea, and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu.
So we'll listen possibly to the rest of that song later. Anna says that was one of her favorites as a child. I mean, I'm sure that was many of our favorites to sing. And the original release, yes, was in 1963. That is correct. So he actually wrote this song sitting in his college dorm at Cornell, being one of the first songs that he had actually written. And contrary to what many people have said, popular belief, it actually wasn't supposed to be a children's tune, but also wasn't supposed to represent a popular metaphor that I think we all know and can appreciate. Right?
I went to a concert and he said that this song was written, like you said, in Cornell, and it was not about drugs, like people think, but it was a reminiscence of childhood. That's what he said.
It's exactly
in the concert.
It's exactly right. And Peter Yarrow said specifically, if I wanted to write a song about dope, I could have written one time and again, but I didn't. Interesting. Puff the Magic Dragon made them an international sensation, and it really struck a chord with people because it represented something personal. Because in the end, as Yarrow said, the realization came to be that Jackie had to grow up, right? It's a song about childhood, but in the end, we all have to grow up. Even though we can still have that childhood playfulness within us, we had to grow up. And it's sad to grow up. But the message that he wanted to get across was that if we keep our ethics and our values strong, that our dragons will be able to stay safe and happy. And I think that's a really beautiful message from Peter Yarrow. And for a song that most people that I know, at least in my generation, dismiss. They dismiss because they think it's a song about pot. And it's just not incredibly true. I mean, to me, it made me think of the dialogue between a father and his son in the song Cats in the Cradle. Very similar. It's this poetic story moving on about the development of life. And so the trio had 3 different albums on the charts. Puff the Magic Dragon was there. Blowin' in the Wind, which was actually a cover song. It was written by Bob Dylan. A lot of people graduating in 1963. And they were also living out their songs. They performed at fundraisers, demonstrations, and what he would call teach-ins in the anti-Vietnam War crusade. He and Peter Yarrow actually helped organize the March on Washington in 1969. That, of course, featured Peter, Paul, and Mary. And what was unique about them was that they didn't write all of their music. They also did quite a few cover songs, which we know were quite popular. And they sought out new musicians at the time. So in not just performing what was popular. So in 1970, the group performed Gordon Lightfoot's In the Early Morning Rain and John Denver's Leavin' on a Jet Plane. And they were actually the ones that helped to really catapult those songs to being as popular as they are. In 1970, unfortunately, the three of Peter, Paul, and Mary disbanded to pursue their own solo careers. And Peter Yarrow, of course, concentrated on his songwriting combined with his political convictions. And he co-wrote a song which was a #1 hit for an artist named Mary McGregor. And it was a song called Torn Between Two Lovers. Okay, and then he also produced 3 different CBS television specials that were based on Puff the Magic Dragon, which earned him an Emmy nomination. In 1978, he organized Survival Sunday. It was an anti-nuclear benefit, and of course, Peter, Paul, and Mary got together again to sing. I don't think there was animosity between the three. I just think it was time to go their separate ways. The reunion itself inspired them to tour once again together, but they still all did their separate things. 45 touring dates a year was all they were able to do as a group, which is still quite a bit. But the group still, they incorporate various songs. Peter Yarrow sings a lot of new music still when they sing, including a song written in the mid-1980s that maybe we all know called Light One Candle. Light One Candle, although we use it to sing about Hanukkah, which is going to be appropriate for us right now, it was really written for the peace process and the peace accords in Israel back in the mid-1980s. Are there any questions thus far? Or any comments about his professional career? No? Okay. Let's listen to something else, shall we? One moment. How about something like this? Oops. Ugh, come on. How do I get this? You know, you would think after a while my technological challenges would be done, but not so much. Here we go. And I'm sure you know this song.
Where have all the flowers gone? Long time passing. Where have all the flowers gone? Long time ago. Where have all the flowers gone? Young girls that pick them every day. When will they ever learn? When will they ever? And now just the women, where have all the young girls gone? Where have all the young girls gone? Long time passing. All the young girls where the young girls gone, the young everyone. When will they ever learn? When will they ever? And now just the men, where have all the young men gone here? And where have all the young men gone? Gone for soldiers
their style of music reflected the true folk age. And what do I mean by that? The lyrics mostly stay the same, except for normally the first couple of words. And then they change. Where have all the flowers gone? Where have all the soldiers gone? Where have all, and so by repetitive music and repetitive lyrics, that's how people can sing along. And notice after a while, they could pull out and everybody could sing. And even Robbie, yes, you say that you're amazed you can remember all the words, but that's the reason you can remember all the words. Because of that style. And that is, Pete Seeger used that style all the time, having the women sing, have the men sing, then have everybody come together. It's a beautiful way to create community. And so song leaders all throughout America, Jewish song leaders at Jewish camps and in Nifty, the youth groups and whatnot, really would take after both Pete Seeger and Peter Yarrow and use them as their greatest influences of how to song lead. And you could see in that piece that was how it happened. Any questions before we move on to the Jewish Peter Yarrow? Because I think this is super interesting.
I think it's interesting that you showed us that video from 65, and we saw them at Cerritos Center in 2002. She was still alive, and she did the exact same move. I mean, you could have just taken the movements and the way they stood and the way they sang with each other and just picked that up from 65 and put it in 2002 with their hand out. And I mean, it was exactly their style. The style stayed their style stayed the same through that whole time.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. Anybody else have any comments about their voices, their music? What I did was I showed two different videos, one from 65 and one from more recent. You can just speak up if you have.
It's interesting, Rabbi. Back then, you really could understand the words.
Uh-huh.
And the words told a story.
Yeah.
Most of the music we hear now, I'm lost because the words seem mumbled.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly the case. Some of them aren't. I mean, some of them aren't. I think it depends on who you're listening to. But you're right about them telling the story. I mean, that were truly representative of the times. And I mean, you're absolutely right. So let's talk now about Peter Yarrow and his Judaism. The thing that I think is so beautiful about Peter Yarrow is that he was a quintessential Jewish man. Now he's kind of like, the Jewish grandpa you all know and love. And he's warm. He's inspirational. He has wisdom. He's able to inspire young and old. He's engaged. He's energetic. He's extremely charming. I mean, really charming. Not only with that deep voice, but he is so charming, and he basically is able to reel you in and then let you go on your way. And for some reason, he won't physically be with you, but he'll stay with you. And that's very Jewish. That's what rabbis do when they write sermons. That's what we strive to accomplish with our people, is that even if we aren't with you, the Judaism and the values and what we teach will stay with you. And so he had a lot of that with him. His original family name was actually Yaroshevitz. So Peter Yaroshevitz. And he was both of his parents were born in Ukraine. They lived on a shtetl. And for a while, they actually were separate, but then they re-met in Providence, Rhode Island, the site of the first synagogue in North America. And Peter Yarrow says, as he as he explains how his parents thought, they were very different. His mother was very progressive, free thinking. She never went to high school. She worked in a factory, worked her way up, graduated from a teacher's college, and then taught English, speech, drama for more than 30 years. At the same time, Yarrow's father was a district attorney. He worked under the Republican governor, Thomas E. Dewey. And their politics clearly went in different directions. And when he was 5, his parents actually got divorced, which back, I guess, during that time, it was far more uncommon than it is today to get divorced. Peter decided to stay with his mother, and she came to the New World. And just like many young Sabras would go to, or not Sabras, immigrants would go to Israel and would try to be this representation of the new Jew, like a Sabra, strong, not from the shtetl, but someone who is strong and vibrant and young. And she basically said to him, "We're not Russian and we're not Jewish. We're just Americans." And that was very, very, that wasn't unique to that time. She remarried, and her husband at the time was the former executive director of Central Synagogue. And that's where Peter Yarrow began his Jewish education. 5 years ago, they actually honored him with what they call the Shofar Award, and it pays tribute to him as a Jew of distinction and inspiration. And he tells the story. He says, "I told the story of my mother, and I sang 'Light One Candle,' one of my most famous songs. My mother was very proud of her Jewishness, but she was of the opinion that the practice of religion would lead to a religious and sectarian animosity, and that would lead to war. She was truly ahead of her time. She's gone 15 years now, and it's still a painful song to sing." It's interesting that we look at "Light One Candle" as a song that is inspirational and beautiful, and yet it's painful for him to sing. You know, do we have any thoughts, comments on that?
So did you say it was originally written with war in mind? Is that what you said?
That's what his mother thought.
Oh, okay.
It was written as, a tribute per se to the peace process in the 1980s in Israel.
Okay.
Oh.
So, kind of interesting. I think we should sing that song. Do you know that song?
Some of it.
Some of it? All right. I should have made lyrics. I didn't make lyrics.
We can get them all on our phone.
You can do the best you can. Here we go. Here we go. I'm no Peter Yarrow, but I'm going to try. Light one candle for the Maccabee children. Give thanks that their light didn't die. Light one candle for the pain they endured when the right to exist was denied. Light one candle for the terrible sacrifice justice and freedom demand. Light one candle for the wisdom to know when the peacemaker's time is at hand. Don't let the light go out. It's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out. Let it shine for our love and our tears. Light one candle for the strength that we need to never become our own pain. Oh no, our own foe, sorry. Light one candle for those who are suffering the pain we learned so long ago. Light one candle for all we believe in. Let anger not tear us apart. Light one candle to bind us together as peace is a song in our hearts. Don't let the light go out. It's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out. Let it shine through our love and our tears. What is the memory that's valued so highly that we keep alive in that flame? What's the commitment to those who have died when we cry out they've not died in vain? We have come this far, always believing that justice will somehow prevail. This is the burden, and this is the promise, and this is why we will not fail. Don't let the light go out. It's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out. 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 Those lyrics are really incredible. They're really, really powerful. And if you speak them, you really get a vibe of whoever said they don't make lyrics like this anymore. It's kind of true. Oh, hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Good.
Good. We're singing and talking about Peter Yarrow. Do you know who he is?
No.
You ever heard of Puff the Magic Dragon?
Mm-mm.
I have some work to do, don't I?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, think about these lyrics. Light one candle for the strength that we need to never become our own foe. Light one candle for all who are suffering the pain we learned so long ago. Light one candle for all we believe in. Let anger not tear us apart. Light one candle to bind us together with peace as the song in our heart. Is that not relevant today? Light one what is the memory that's valued so highly that we keep alive in that flame? What's the commitment to those who have died when we cry out they've not died in vain? We have come this far, always believing that justice will somehow prevail. There's the hope there. This is the burden, and this is the promise, and this is why we will not fail. It is so inspirational. Do you feel that same inspiration, or do you feel a sense of sadness when you hear it? Chime in, it's okay. Yeah? And it's inherently Jewish, right? You know, I remember... Mom, do you remember when I first learned this song? Do you remember where it first came on the radar?
I don't.
When I was like 4 years old, learning at whatever preschool I was learning at in Irvine, or wherever it was, wherever I was going to. And I really distinctly remember that song. Of all the Hanukkah songs, that's the one that I remembered. And since then, I hadn't really heard it. Nobody sings it anymore. And I find that to be a shame.
Yeah.
Because I think
My
there's a
kids
message.
sang it when they were, I don't know if they were at camp or...
Yeah, I would say in the last 15 years, it's not been sung.
Maybe it's time to bring it back, Rabbi.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I really, really love it. But the thing that I love about him and this tune, especially in many of his different songs, is that there is Judaism and Jewish value and ethics all through his music. In 2003, a resolution in Congress recognized his various achievements. And he said in his work of not only anti-war, but for social justice and social activism, he said, hold on one second, I'm sorry. Okay, sorry. And he said these words, and they're very powerful. Listen to this. We Jews always say, be a mensch first, and everything else will work out. If you're not responsible for being Jewish, then you're responsible for tzedakah, for everyone, and creating a mitzvah for all of humankind. If not, then you have missed the boat of being Jewish. Not just is it good for the Jews, but is it good for the world? We need to take responsibility for when we have caused injury, wittingly or unwittingly. If we can do it on Rosh Hashanah, we can certainly do it any other day. Pretty powerful stuff, right? Any comment? Anything you remember? You can recall about him specifically in his work?
You had already said, if you listen to the songs, there's so much social justice being expressed.
Yeah.
During that period of time, there were quite a number of songwriters that really spoke to what was happening throughout the country, and especially in the 60s, there were so many artists, not Jewish artists necessarily, but so many of them that actually sang songs that spoke to what was happening.
Yeah,
we could do some of that right now. I think it would be helpful. I'm surprised. It's like a dearth of it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And the thing that was so great about his music is they actually wrote their music for so-called events, the Civil Rights March and whatnot. It wasn't the other way around. You hear so often music that is just taken to represent the theme, but they wrote the music to represent the event and to represent how they could take that message. And that's something that's very unique to Peter Yarrow. And that's why they use so many cover songs, because they would take songs then and create the story out of it. And that's not done nearly as much anymore. He was, they actually participated in the civil rights movement, brought them in 1963 to Washington, sang for the march led by Martin Luther King Jr. They were in Selma during that march in 1965. And of course, they also co-organized in 1969 the Celebration of Life, which is a now famous March on Washington. And, you know, I think there's so much Jewish that is given off through him. But also it's not all seriousness, and it's not all only that serious type of music about war and all the problems in the world. He was a folk writer, so he knew how to tell a story. And this is actually one of my favorites, in which he could use humor to give a little fun stuff here. This is great. And anybody of a certain age, my guess, will understand and relate to this. 1 second. Listen carefully to the lyrics, because these are deep as well. I will be singing that on Yom Kippur next year as the sermon anthem, so prepare yourself. No, I'm kidding.
Can I sing the background?
Yeah, right. I mean, who else do you know?
I was going to say, we're so lucky to have you both here right now with your guitars.
Oh, hold on.
You may not only sit.
Who else do you know that could sing so charmingly about the innards of one's colon? I don't know.
Maybe my gastroenterologist.
Yeah, maybe the gastroenterologist.
So.
Yeah, I mean, it is very, very, very funny. So I don't just want to talk about all the sunshine, rainbows, and lollipops when it comes to Peter Yarrow, because as time went on, there were a few issues that did arise in his life and throughout the world in the very early part of the 1980s, and he was actually arrested. If anybody remembers that unfortunate incident, he was accused of some lewd acts around a minor. He was eventually pardoned, but it's a part of, you know, a part of his story, and it seems that people have looked past that nowadays, because but there was a time where he was out of the public eye for quite a bit. But in the end, the music still lives on. I mean, we hear a lot of things about people who have done, or famous celebrities who have done unethical acts, and then their careers are tossed by the wayside. But the thing I do respect about Peter Yarrow's music is that at least the music overshadowed that part of his life in a positive way, because the message of the music was so powerful and relevant, even in the 80s during the Cold War, even during in every wartime, his music kind of came to life again. And even nowadays, in a world that is terribly divided politically, or in a country that is terribly divided politically, you've seen him kind of re-enter onto the stage again. And I think that's a good thing. I think the value of one's music and the message really outweighs all, at least in this scenario. I don't know if you agree, I don't know if you disagree, but I think that's why Peter Yarrow's music has still stayed, you know, tried and true. Yes, no, maybe? Is that a stretch? Who knows? Want to listen to Peter Yarrow music? Tell Zai to shut up now? All right. We'll do it. Let's listen to more. I just have to get it all set up again. This is a good one here. From their 25th anniversary concert.
Evening,
So, from a musicality standpoint, there is something really cool about what they were able to do. When you think of harmony, right? It is rare that you have the female lead and then the males singing harmony to the female in a lower octave. It's bizarre. It just doesn't happen often. And they did it flawlessly and beautifully. I mean, they were not singing in head voice. That was straight out chest voice from them. And the thing that I just love and respect so much about Peter Yarrow's music and the rest of their music was their ability just to stick out a hand, and their movements with their guitar and with their bodies, and it was their energy connecting with their audience. That is a very hard thing to do. And I don't know if many of you have ever sang with a guitar before, but I'm sure you've gone through similar challenges in getting those to sing with you. What did you notice about their concerts? Like, this is an internationally touring group. Everyone was sitting. That's a really interesting...
They really looked like they were happy doing what they were doing.
Definitely.
They looked like they were enjoying their life and that it wasn't work to them.
You bet.
And also, it seemed like they felt what they were saying. They weren't just repeating songs over and over again. It was like it was an expression of what they really were feeling.
Yes, there was an authenticity to it
Yeah,
that I think was really cool. But specifically about their performance style, is anybody notice something that is, unique in today's day and age?
They engaged the people to sing with them.
They definitely did. That's not uncommon today, but that's a folk singer for you. But there's one thing that's standing out to me. They faced each other. That's right, Allison. That's very good. They did face each other, and that created the intimacy of the group, no question. There's one more thing. It's just a throw.
I was thinking that no amplifiers.
Yeah, that's it. There was nothing except a guitar and 3 microphones. I mean, that's unique. They could get a whole crowd of thousands of people singing with just a guitar and their voices. I don't know of many people that can do that anymore. And that's what keeps music like Peter Yarrow's, not only the lyrics, not only the style, but really the authenticity of that type of music with just one instrument, along with using their voices as instruments. I think that's really, really amazing. And that's what makes Peter Yarrow stand out. Might I add, yes, he's into social justice. Yes, he wrote songs about protest and anti-war movement and homelessness and other social justice things. But, he also did not stop with his pursuit of justice. He kept it going, and even today he is still intimately involved in the Religious Action Center through the Reform Movement, which is really the social justice arm of the Reform Movement. He has performed at Union for Reform Judaism biennial conferences. He is heavily involved, including intimate concerts with teenagers and synagogue leaders and other. I mean, it is really, really cool how he takes Judaism and lives those values still to this day. It's something that doesn't happen often through a religious setting and through a religious movement. So I think that is something also intrinsically unique about Peter Yarrow. Where's Mark Cohen? Mark Cohen, where are you? There's Mark Cohen. Mark, tell us.
Here.
Yeah, would you mind telling us the story that you sent me? Because I think this is a nice personal.
Sure. Well, first of all, Peter Yarrow was one of the founders of the Kerrville Folk Festival in 1972. He helped to get it started, and he's performed there regularly at Kerrville, Texas. And so when I was in Austin, we would occasionally he'd occasionally come over to the JCC in Austin and do a benefit there. So I did get to see him there. But his song, which we heard earlier, Light One Candle, was one of the favorites of my first wife, Susan. And so for my younger son's bar mitzvah, at the end, we had the cantor sing Light One Candle and had all the kids come up on the stage, each with a candle, and started with my son Jeffrey with his candle lit, and from there spreading the light out as the song was sung, lighting all the other candles, which was really special. And then 2 years later, when my wife died, at the funeral, the cantor asked if there was any song that I would like her to sing for the funeral, for the service. And I asked her to sing Light One Candle, because I knew Susan had loved it. And she did. And she sang it beautifully, and she was crying as she sang it, having spent so much time with Susan.
Thanks for sharing that. It's really, there is a personal touch to his music.
Yes.
And I think that is the takeaway, is that there's a personal story. There's a story he's telling, but it's a story that is relatable for each of us. Throughout his music, Peter, Paul, and Mary's music, the style of the music, the participation of the music. I don't know. It's I'm not a Peter Yarrow expert. I did quite a bit of research on him, but I know his music, but I'm not an expert. So I'm not sure I can answer any questions about him. I can try, or at least from a musical standpoint, if you have any, I'm happy to try to answer any questions. I was that thorough. Well, that's surprising. In any case, all right. Well, I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit about Peter Yarrow, his music, how beautiful it really is, and the stories behind it. He is certainly an influential member of the songwriting community and the Jewish community. Upcoming in the Shireinu project, an adult music experience, just so we know what is going on. This Sunday is a SHM Sunday song session with myself and Remy Hall. Should be very fun. 4 o'clock on Facebook. Be there. And then on the 20th, I'll be doing it alone on Facebook, the Sunday song session. Nifty songs. It's Nifty's Best, so all the songs from youth group that you or your kids sang growing up. Then we take a little bit of a break. Then in January, the SHM Music Academy is starting up again. We had an amazing turnout last trimester. And this coming trimester, we have 3 classes. One taught by Gary Gould. All people in our music faculty. Gary Gould will be teaching learning to read music. So if you haven't learned to read music and you want to learn or need a little bit of a tune-up, definitely join his class. Remy Hall, our Shireinu Project intern, is going to teach you how to video edit. It's a class I'm definitely going to be taking. And then Eddie Stevens will be doing a class called School of Rock, and he will be teaching all about rock music, history of rock music. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. So that starts in January. So and then the adult music experience has quite a few really amazing programs coming up in the future. One of them is my uncle, who is Lucas Richmond. He is the music director of the Bangor Symphony Orchestra and is also very, very well known and a protege of Leonard Bernstein's, is going to be doing a whole program for us. This is very unique and very special to have him come on. He conducts personally for John Williams and his music. They're good friends, and he is a wealth of knowledge, and it is a real big treat for us to be able to share some time with him. So that will be sometime, I believe, in January for the adult music experience. Questions, comments, concerns, considerations? All right. Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. This was a really wonderful time. Art and Nancy, you're welcome back anytime. Please, please, please. All you got to do is let me know, okay?
Hi, Hayden.
Hi, Hayden.
Thank you, Rabbi. Great session.
Thank you, Rabbi.
It
My
was
pleasure.
fantastic.
Love
We
this.
really enjoyed
Thank you.
listening.
Thank you, everyone.
Excellent.
Have a wonderful night and happy Hanukkah. Happy
Happy
Hanukkah.
Hanukkah.
Happy Hanukkah.
Hanukkah.
Monica.
Thank you.
Hi, Hayden.
Hi.
All
Do you
right.
know what you're getting for Hanukkah, Hayden?
Do you know what you're getting for Hanukkah?
Gelt.
Yeah, socks.
Socks.
He'll do better than that. All right, everyone. Take care. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Bye-bye.
Excellent.
So happy to see you here, Laura Lee. Mwah.